All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. I hope everybody is doing great. Had a great trading day today. Let me get this tweeted out for everybody so everybody can get joined in here. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I hope everybody had a great trading day today. Today we are going to continue our series on day trading with changes of composure, and today we're going to be talking about moving averages. So far this week we've talked about monthly, weekly candles, we talked about Keltner channels, we talked about Bollinger Bands, and today we're going to cover moving averages. So pretty cool stuff. Definitely related to Bollinger Bands and Keltner channels. Before we get started though, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, let's check first and see where we're at with the market today. So here's the monthly chart. Pretty impressive, really, if you think about it. Last month, January, closed with a shooting star candle at the upper Bollinger Bands here, and was looking a little bit ominous going into this week, right? We still, we're still not out of the woods yet with a lot of this coronavirus stuff, things like that. So they keep on, last night they said they found a cure to it, and the market was gapping up on that news, and then the WHO came out and said, no, we don't have anything, right? So that's a little bit freaky. And so we do have but still the market continues to plow to highs, right? I mean, there's a lot of news that's kind of driving this as well, right? Apparently European economic news is good, right? Carrying over that, there's strength in, the economies, things like that. Also, impeachment is over, right? So that's all done. So lots of things that, can potentially be considered bullish for the market. But anyway, it is what it is. We got to look at price and follow it, right? And see which way we can ride those waves. So monthly chart is working its way up here and looking bullish. Let's check out the weekly chart. So this was kind of a key indication right here as we went into last week. So this is kind of like the line in the sand right here, right on the weekly chart. We had a nasty candle that finished last week, end of the month, right? And we came right to some support on the weekly chart, right? So some buying pressure was found here. We had a little bit of a lower shadow on the week, a little bit lower shadow on the day, which we'll look at in a second. And so far, the weekly chart is looking very, very impressive, very, very close to all-time highs. Futures are up right now after hours. Let's see if we gap up to all-time highs tomorrow. If we do, that's going to shift our trend lines up on our daily chart, because right now we're still in the trend box. So pretty impressive stuff, right? So last Friday we pushed down. It was a pretty nasty day, right? Big sell-off day. Got right to, speaking of moving average, the 50 moving average on the daily, right? And we saw a lower shadow off of that, which is kind of like, okay, a little bit of buying pressure at the end, right? And also you can see that those support levels were from the prior weekly charts that we saw as well, right? So those are right there. Then we had an inside day on Monday, gapped above that yesterday, and gapped above it again today, and finished with a hammer. So let's see if that hammer gets the follow through. Let's see how the futures handle overnight, and see if that hammer, proves to be a hammer or if it proves to be a hanging man up here. So, but generally pretty bullish today into the close. All right, so let's take a look at that and see how we did today. So here's the 15-minute chart. You can see it was a very, very choppy day until the end of the day where we pushed up a little bit to finish off that hammer right there. So pretty impressive stuff on the daily. Here's our levels that we use intraday. These are what we provide to our members before each market opens. So we have levels to work with, right? Because price likes to discover levels and test different levels, right? So we got really, really close to the all-time highs at the end of the day as we held, we're testing these levels down here. Couple, lower lows, or higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher high. Tried to get to the all-time highs and just pulled back a little bit. Kind of finished there. So futures a little bit strong here after hours, probably based on the impeachment being over, right? So it is what it is. That's where we're at right now on the SPX. So again, today we are going to be talking about moving averages and how they can indicate potential changes in composure, right? So these are definite. I'm going to go over a couple different scenarios that we want to look at in our daily trading or at night when we're looking through charts to see what's really going on. And oftentimes during the day, even if you take a little bit of time during your lunchtime break when things are a little bit calm, and just kind of check these just to kind of see where we're at, right? So this is what we're going to be talking about today. So let's do that. So let's go to the daily chart and just kind of take a look at what we've been looking at. I'm going to take off the Bollinger Bands that we discussed yesterday, so I'm going to remove those Bollinger Bands. And so you can see right here, one of the key lines that we have is one that we discussed. Let me remove the Bollinger Band width at the bottom as well from yesterday's discussion. So one of the key levels right here is, we did a discussion recently on profiting in bull and bear markets, and one of those key levels that we discussed was the weekly 30 MA, right? Very, very important MA. Similar to the 50 moving average, right? So, but this is for the weekly chart. So the 30 weekly MA is a key level to be held, right? If we're above the 30 MA on the weekly chart, right, we can generally say that we're in a bullish, generally a bullish market, and we can use that. We can respect those levels, right? So it's not until we get below those levels that 30 moving average on the weekly chart, do we really start to get concerned about a potential change in composure of the market? So we talked about candles, pushing down the weekly charts, big candles, moving things, switching the Bollinger Band, switching the Keltner channels. Now we want to look for how moving averages are handled, right, and what they're doing, right? So here, when we start to see changes in the moving average, a lot of traders like to use turning points in the moving average, right? So if you can kind of stretch this out a little bit, you can kind of start to see where this is happening. So this week here, right, as we put upper shadows on the weekly chart on the 30 weekly MA, right, you can see how this is really showing a change in composure right here. We finally got this week here, which pushed down, started to change the direction of the moving average, right? And so once that direction started to change, the real change in composure happened in the market and gave us that indication that there may be follow through to the downside. We saw that here on the weekly chart last year, well, actually a little bit longer than that, a little bit over a year ago, right, until we got that Christmas reversal and worked our way back up. Now we did get a nice strong candle over the 30 MA, right? Changes in composure can happen to the bullish side as well. We pushed our way up, retested it. We could start to see here how the 30 moving average started to curl its way up, and then we've seen this massive move to the upside, a couple tests of it, right? It's something to be understood, right? And then the direction of that moving average has continued to trail price. Obviously everything is based on price itself, but these are little things that we could look at to kind of give us a click, wait a second, there's a change in dynamic here, right? There's a change in composure. So very, very important stuff, and we look for that as well on the daily charts. Not just with the 30 moving average or the 150, which is kind of your similar moving average there, but we could also use other moving averages too, like your 50 MA and your 200. Right, so the 200 tends to stay pretty steady, but this is a big one too to keep an eye on, right? So we also see here that the 200 moving average, right, started to turn down, very, very similar to the 150, very, very close, and we can start to see that had the change in composure as well in the market, right? So one of the things we want to point out is not only just the change of those, but when you incorporate multiple moving averages, we've talked about this before, and everybody knows about gold crosses and bear crosses or death crosses. But these are very important things too that change composure as well. When the moving averages do cross over each other, especially significant ones like the 50 and the 200, right, we also start to see change in composure. These are very, very important moves, right? So when the 50 crossed over the 200 here back in December, right, of 2018, right, we did see a continuation move down, and then we started to curl back over, change in composure. Right, we saw a crossover to the upside, which showed future movement to the upside, right? And as the 50 moving average stayed above, even though we pulled back to the 200 here, the 50 moving average still continued to stay above the 200 moving average, which gave us a indication that there was still bullishness ahead, right? So we started to see a little bit of a curl over here that maybe it could cross, but it never crossed over, right? So these are just, for long-term investing, long-term type style, right? These are things that we look at. Okay, so very, very important stuff here, and these are not the only moving averages that are common out there, right? There's other ones that are used often as well. So let's take a look at just a few of those, and it's very interesting because some of these really correspond with other cool tools as well. So couple popular studies that are out there, right, are your 8 and 21 moving average. You probably have heard that, various different channels. So let's pull those up right here. So we've got the 8 and the 21 day. Okay, so here's your 8. I'll just make it green. Okay, because it's kind of like your leader. Right, and then your 21 right here. Now let's make that yellow. Okay, so as we put those up here, so here's your moving averages here. And also in the shorter time frames, we see that these also perform crossovers. They also turn with price, right? And when we get those death crosses too, we see changes in composure as well. Now, what's significant about the 8 and 21 day moving average, right? Other than a lot of traders like to use it, they're both Fibonacci numbers. Okay, so it's pretty cool when you start looking at these things, you start to see that there's relationships between different tools together, right? So using Fibonacci's with moving averages, using Fibonacci's with different levels, things like that, can be very effective. So the 8 and 21 day moving average is also important, and so when price stays above those, oftentimes in when you're trying to be a little more day trader like, or trying to trade a little bit shorter term, when your 8 is over your 21, a lot of times you can see bullish behavior, right? So we pull back to the 8, but we stay over the 21, over the 8, stay over the 21. We started to see a turn down right here in this gap down, but the 8 never crossed over the 21. We continued to stay above that until very, very recently here, right? Which is one of the reasons that we're talking about changes in composure this week, because it looked like things were starting to break down, right, as we got to the top. So these are just things we want to take notice of, right? So these changes in composure, not until these things actually break through and things change, do we start to see that true change in composure. And that kind of brings us to the final point here of one thing to look at, and it's called the bow tie, right? It's when moving averages bow tie together and price corresponds with those levels. So you can see right here the 8 8-day moving average corresponded with the 21-day moving average, and they got really, really tight right here. It was like about to cross over. And we actually closed below those, and there's probably a little bit of a crossover. That's the trick about trading those moving averages. Sometimes it does look like it's crossing over, but those bow ties are very important areas of sentiment, of market sentiment, right? So if price is right near those, right, if we continue to stay below there, so for instance, off of this inside day, if we close below, we probably would have seen the 8-day crossover, and we may have seen some bearish closes below here and start to work our way down, to the next one. In this case, it's the 150-day moving average, or the 30 on the weekly. But that never happened this week, right? So what we're seeing right now is a test of that key bow tie area, right? And we gapped above it off of the inside day, or continue to stay above it. So really all it is was just a tag of the moving average, and it's continuing to stay above it. So right now, they're close enough where we might want to be concerned. You can see there's a general space between these levels, right, where we like them to stay above in order for us to maintain a bullish mentality. And here we're starting to see them start to cross back up again, right? So we want to try to see if this symmetry can start to come again, right? And if we can do that, right, we may see ourselves working up to much higher levels in the market. So very, very key stuff, and I think it's an important part. I think moving averages are interesting. I think they're great. I tend not to trade off of them, but I do like it. I do like to look at them to make sure that we're maintaining certain levels in space. It gives us some context into the market, and I think if you guys use them, or it's helpful to use, even if you don't trade off them intraday. It's something that you can add to your charts just to kind of look at night and just to see what's really going on here. So hopefully you guys found that helpful. And at this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those into the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can, and we'll try to wrap up as early as possible so we can all get a good night's sleep and have another awesome trading day tomorrow. And we'll see if these futures hold up for us overnight and can keep this this market in the bullish uptrend, or if we're going to get another change in composure soon. So good stuff. So Shirley sent in a few chart requests. Shirley's had some great ones. Shirley's the master of the bull market. So let's see what kind of stock she's come up with here tonight. So let's get those pulled up here. Get the daily chart kind of zoomed in a little bit. Let's take a look. So the first one is QCOM. So QCOM had earnings tonight. Ended with a little bit of a hammer type spinning top, maybe hanging man. Let's see how things are looking after hours here. So a little bit down after hours. It originally had a big spike off of earnings and kind of came back down. So it's drifting. It's basically at today's lows. No big deal. So we'll see where we open tomorrow. This could affect the semiconductor industry tomorrow, depending on where it opens. But if it opens flat, it kind of is what it is at this point. So if that is the case, then surely yes, this could still remain bullish in this potential uptrend right here, because you can see what we did is just pushed over it today. And let's see if we can close above that tomorrow if they get strong on it. And then QCOM may be one to keep an eye on for more bullish uptrend. We got Norton LifeLock next, NLOK. So still continuing its move up. It did have an inside day yesterday, just kind of like everything else. And finished today with a little bit of an upper shadow doji. Right, closed right, just about right even right there. So gray candle right there. So this has earnings coming up pretty soon. It's got it on the 6th. So tomorrow after hours. So definitely want to keep an eye on to see if it can maintain this trend. The XLY. So what is the XLY, right? The XLY is your consumer discretionary. So what's the big stock on this one? This is Amazon, right? So Amazon is the highest weighted stock in this one by a long haul. It's almost a quarter of the entire ETF. So as long as Amazon stays strong, XLY stays strong, right? So it had a recent big move up, right? So we saw on Amazon earnings, we saw a big gap up on XLY. A little bit of pullback like Amazon is continuing to work its way up, right? So we saw a nice move up this way. So again, still on the move on this one, and generally pretty bullish. So let's see if Amazon can keep up with it. And then CERN. Okay, Cerner Corp. So this just had earnings, right? Yesterday after the close, so it had a nice gap up today. Tried to do a gap and go. It got above most of these levels, and it did give a nice move today. So again, it all depends how you trade. If you trade options, a little bit difficult because this is a not exactly very liquid with options. It does get a little bit spready and not a lot of volumes on it. You can see, for the price of the stock. But it did give a nice move through the pre-market levels this morning. So it kind of gave a momentum move through that this morning, but then it gave a huge range, and then it's kind of drifted back a little bit, as you can see on the daily candle. All right, a little bit of big push up and then drifted back. And then we've got LLY. Eli Lilly. So nice close today, Shirley. Good volume, increasing volume. Wow, look at this. We've got an old fib arcs on this one. Look where we are. We're right at the upper fib arc right here. So pretty impressive stuff. Nice close today. strong close after earnings, decent volume. I'm liking it. I think it looks pretty bullish here. So let's see if that gets some strength to the upside. Give me 1 second. I'm going to add that to the list for tomorrow too. Great catch on that one. LOY. Nice one, Shirley. Good stuff. All right, good. Osiris, what's going on? Good to see you. Good evening. Glad you're back. Thanks for tuning in. Nate, what's happening? Good to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Osiris, okay, so when you can, please check SYY. In the monthly, weekly, and daily chart, you're just doing swings for now. That's probably a good idea. So, I mean, swinging is generally, if you can catch these setups and catch context, right? If you're 50, if it's over your 50 moving average and the 50 is over the 200, you can generally be bullish with it. And then if you use your 8 and 21 moving averages there, right, it can kind of keep you safe in these things, right? So let's take a look at SYY. Okay, so Cisco is interesting. Right, so the 50 is over the 200, but we're starting to see a little bit of a curl over in the 50, right? And the 200 is kind of, it's a little bit stalled out right here because we have this big push down, right? We broke down out of a lot of levels, right? So we've got our trend line up right here, started to break down here. Here's your minor pivot low here, and then we pushed below there on earnings and got a little bit of follow through from the downside. Now, one thing it did do is give a lower shadow here, right, into some prior buying pressure, and we'll see if that holds. Right, but if it does break down below these lows, it may want to test some lower levels. Some other key levels that may be below. Let's take a look at the weekly chart as well. Let me get rid of a couple of these. Well, actually, this is a good one right here. This is prior resistance. So that prior resistance is almost being held as support here on the weekly chart. So that is relatively important, right? We had some other resistance levels here, and so those still need to be held as well on the weekly chart. And of course, you can see on the monthly, very similar. This resistance point right here was a prior major resistance level here, and it seems to be very, very close to it here on the support level. So let's see if that can hold. If it can hold, we may chop around for a few weeks here, and then maybe a month or so, and then try to work its way up. So it got clobbered a lot, but it didn't get below any major levels, right? So we want to see, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on this one. So good stuff there. How were their earnings anyway, by the way? It was actually a little bit of a beat on their earnings, so less than the previous time, but let's see. A lot of times these ones that do beat and gap down, sometimes you can find a reversal on it. See if it gets you range bound for a little bit in here, and then look for a breakout candle, possibly over the 200 moving average. See if you can get back up to the 50 on that one. So good stuff there. Paul, good evening. Thanks for tuning in. Levi, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in, man. Hope everybody's doing great. MTN, what's up? Hey, do you know what record for consecutive gap ups so far? It's every day this month. I mean, it's been every day for like the past 2 years, pretty much. I think there's been some studies that if you just buy, just buy calls on the market in the, especially if the market's going up, if you're over at least the 21 day or over the 50, if you buy at the close and then sell at the open, it's more profitable than just, buying at the open and selling at the close, that type of thing. So yeah, we do see a lot of gap stops on that. I don't know the exact statistics on it, but it's pretty impressive. Levi, yeah, let's take a look at Amazon, Amazonius. Let's see what's going on. AMZN. So we've got Bezos selling, $1 billion worth of shares at these highs here. So I don't know, I would too, but it's holding up pretty well here. So it did hit all-time highs, but it's having trouble closing above the prior all-time highs, right? It's hitting all-time highs, but not closing above it. So I would like to see it at least get, close bullishly above this 2050 level here one of these days soon to see if it can start to work its way up. But generally, I mean, Amazon, right? Generally pretty good company, right? Or pretty profitable company, or at least gets a lot of revenue. So hopefully that'll keep going. Microsoft, big move today, big push, right? Yesterday, big move over the upper channel off of a gap up, another gap up today, and a lot of the ones that gapped up today just kind of faded a little bit. So they're going to give us a lot of key levels to look at going forward. So let's see, Microsoft, could chop for a little bit like it likes to do, and then before it makes its next move. So definitely keep an eye out for those type of consolidation moves. ZS. ZS with an interesting one right here. So we're seeing a little bit of a, kind of a bullish flag type thing working, right? So ZS earnings coming up pretty soon. I do want to see it get over the 200-day moving average, right? And let's see if earnings, can give it any help through that. Twilio. I believe we had earnings tonight. We had a bearish engulfing candle today on Twilio. So how did they handle that into earnings? Oh, I guess that bearish engulfing candle kind of gave it away a little bit and gave it a little bit of a push down here after earnings. So let's see what that does. That's about 119, 120. So it's gapping down right here, basically right to the 200-day moving average. So see if it holds the support and you get a bounce on that tomorrow. So definitely something to keep on the 15 orb list for tomorrow. And then W Day. Yep, workday also with a bearish engulfing candle, right around the 200-day moving average. Doesn't have earnings tomorrow, but this is one that we could look at as for potential bearish follow through tomorrow. So that looks pretty good as well. Let's take a look there. Okay, so we got some big ones tomorrow. We got Twitter tomorrow, right? Um, amongst others. So good stuff there on W Day. Hold on, give me 1 second. Let me add that to the list for tomorrow. Yeah, we got CI tomorrow, iRobot. Good. And then Piton reported tonight too. Let me add that to the list as well. Good. Good, good, good. Awesome, Ernesto. What's going on? AMD and Roku. Let's take a look. So AMD. Oh, AMD. AMD. Honestly, I don't know what it's working on right here, but it sort of looks like it's working on a little bit of a head and shoulders pattern up here. It's starting to work on the right shoulder, right, or left shoulder if you're stage left if it's facing us. But either way, it's working on. It looks like it might be working on a shoulder here. Keep an eye on that, just based on the little hanging man right there. But again, if QCOM is good tomorrow and gets a rebound, right, the rest of the semis might move, and we might see a nice little move up on AMD, and this little head and shoulders concept may be thwarted. And then we have Roku. Yeah, so Roku had a rough day today. Also a bearish engulfing candle. It gapped up today and right into the downward trend line. Right into the DTL right there from this guy. Right? Tag, right to this guy, and then kind of rejected that right off the get-go and got some bullish follow through on that. So it's finally closing again below this descending triangle. So let's see if it gets any follow through on that to the downside. You got an inside day here low that it may want to test, but it's right in that kind of range right now. So again, if it pushes up tomorrow with the rest of the market, it may say that it's done testing this level for now, and then just try to break out of that downward trend line. Good stuff. Cloud Guy, what's going on? QQQ and tech stocks were down. Is there a market rotation, fund moving to other sectors? Probably. Yeah, we're seeing. Here's what we saw today. So here's QQQ. Now again, tomorrow everything's probably going to be up too. We saw a little bit of a down day here on QQQ, but we did see some move into a couple different sectors, right? So we saw retail that was a little bit decent today. So Macy's, even like they reported like closing stores and laying off people, that had a big day today. So Macy's had a good move today. Some other retails, Kohl's had a big day today, so a lot of these brick and mortar stores, a lot of flow into these. Out of tech. I think let's just a couple other ones. Under Armour is technically not a Foot Locker was another one. Sorry, I was thinking about where they sold Under Armour. Foot Locker with a decent move today, so we saw a lot of these retail type stores, getting some strength today. I didn't look at BBY. Oh, sorry, BBBY. Gosh, all these BBs. BBBB. Bed Bath & Beyond, Green Day on Bed Bath & Beyond. What's Best Buy? Best Buy. BBY. What did I type in before? Best Buy was green. So you see a lot of these moves into the retail sector. DKS maybe had a green. Yep, Green Day on DKS. So you saw a lot of rotation into there. And then finally, like the XOP. Had some sell a lot of stuff. Oil and gas is getting beat up for a very long time. We saw some rotation into these today. So we're not quite over the downward trend line yet, but that was strong, right? We saw movement in some of the oil names, right? So XOM had a big day today. That was getting beat up a lot of money into that, big volume, some strength in there. I didn't look at CVX today, but yeah, decent move on CVX. I think we glanced at it, but nice move there. So we're kind of seeing that going into retail and oil, stuff like that. So good stuff. Michael, what's going on? Good to see you. Tesla. Yeah, good old Tesla. So now how long they keep the money in rotation in there is a different story, right? So we'll see if we get any follow through in either of those. But we may see strength across the board tomorrow. But definitely we're planting some money in there today. So so Tesla, big move off of the doji candle right here. You kind of can't be surprised that we had a reversal up here off of a doji, right? Big gap down 152 points today. Not sure how it's doing after hours. Down another 10 points after hours. So again, kind of next level of support right here is your gap window around like the 620 area. So see if that holds. And then of course 600 is your whole number level right there to see if that holds below it. Then maybe things will calm down a little bit and some of the option premiums will get tradable again. LMT, we did see a little rotation into the aerospace industry today, so LMT had a nice move today. Things like Boeing. So Boeing, LMT had a nice hammer. We'll see if that gets any continuation. Boeing had a strong candle today over a lot of levels. That looks like it could get a decent move. Things like that. So that's looking good. Microsoft. Yep, we looked at that as well. Again, a little bit of a push out of that today after a nice gap up today, nice fade of the gap, and then just kind of stayed down today. So just gave us a new level to work with today. NYT. New York Times, definite nice move after yesterday's huge candle. A little bit of a doji here, and we have earnings coming up tomorrow morning, so definitely one to keep an eye on for the morning. DGX, yes, DGX, the company that tests for coronavirus, Quest Diagnostics. So hired by the CDC, I believe, to run tests at airports, and has been kind of working its way up here. We had a nice little swing on this back here, and then we got out before it got all crazy. But we just liked when it closed above these levels with good volume, give a nice next day, and then a little bit of follow through off of a doji sandwich with a gap up, and then kind of came back down. So generally, it's still holding this trend right here, and let's see if we can get a bullish close over these levels here as it gets tight again. And then IMGN. So IMGN, upper shadow. A bunch of upper shadows right here, and some selling pressure. Right, we had a kind of a range right here that it's trying to break out of, but it's just like it's poking its head above it, but not closing above it. That's kind of the key right there. So it's a little bit of a whack-a-mole type thing going on there. And then, is there an SSR on Tesla tomorrow? I have no idea, but we'll keep an eye on it. Good stuff. Thomas, yeah, they rotated healthcare, energy, and some energy and financial. JP Morgan had a nice move today. UNH, some healthcare sector had it as well. IBM was a good one as well. And XOM, a top mover on the Dow. Very, very good stuff. Yeah, UNH, the healthcare sector, I forgot to mention that as well. And one thing you guys can do, right, if one thing you can do is you can get a list of ETFs to see kind of what's going on there too. But another thing you can do is, we've talked about it before, is you can go to your heat map. You can kind of just go to the S&P 500 and go to your heat map and look to see how green things are in which sector, right? So so it's a pretty cool tool to use. I don't know if maybe I can pull it up real quick here. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Let's switch over here. Let's take a look at this right here, and I'll go to your heat map. Visualize under market watch, and then you look at your heat map, right? So you can kind of see by sectors what's going on. So if you go to your S&P 500, it shows you where all the money is, right? So you can see information technology. You see how these are kind of reddish? Money flowed out of there. Communication services, Google, Twitter, things like that, money flowed out of there. Where is it getting really bright green? Healthcare, right? A lot of brightness in the healthcare, like you said, in the financials. Consumer staples, okay, lots in the energy right here. Right, and some industrial stuff too, consumer discretionary a little bit, but mostly like you said, your financials, your industrial, and then some of your healthcare areas too. Not all the healthcare is kind of crazy, but you get to see that as well. So I just wanted to point that out too. That's one way to kind of see where your sector rotation is going. So yeah, so UNH had a great candle today. Good point on that one. Good, yeah, and then IBM too. Let's just take a look at that. That had a great day today. Huge, nice candle yesterday, nice close over a lot of key levels. The volume was a little bit wanting, but it doesn't matter. If you followed that bullishly today, it had a great move and some good opportunities intraday too for just for trading. You had your 15 orb, nice break to the upside, and kind of stayed up at the highs today. So great move on IBM today. And you can also check that too, just kind of what's moving, looking at your heat map, things like that. Good. Thomas, yeah, BA, of course, with the with its aerospace type stuff, and a strong move on BA today, and then Triple M. I think it finally got a bounce today. Inside day up, right? Looked like it was working on a bear flag, and instead decided to give you a failed bear flag today with this move. Again, we want to see it get over this 162, 163 level, see if that can get bullish over there. Not a lot of volume today, but if it can start to get above there, it may try to work its way up. My guess, though, is it'll probably consolidate for a little bit, but just a guess. Mason, what's going on? Which MA time phrase do you watch the most? It all depends what you trade on, right? So, it's whatever you feel most comfortable with, right? So, we look as low as the 1 minute chart, right? And sometimes there's moving averages that we use on there. Again, the 8 and 21 can be just as effective on there, right? Your 50 can be effective on there. Your 200 can be effective on there. It just depends what you trade off of, right? So, and it just depends on, your risk thresholds and whatever you're comfortable trading with. But definitely, try it on different time frames and see which ones, look the most for you, where you can see changes of composure, where you can see it holding that. We've done a bunch of videos on moving averages in the past, so you just got to find kind of which fits what you like to trade and what you like to watch, and then you can kind of start to fit those lines to it. And so when you see breaks of those moving averages, because not all moving averages are going to work on each stock, then you could just kind of look and practice and see how they affect it in future movement. Wendy, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. Good morning. I hope you're doing great, and I hope everybody's good in Singapore. Matthew, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in, man. Sumit, what's going on? TGT. Let's take a look. There you go. A little bit of a retail, stock today. So got a little bit of a green day today. So that's nice. Again, we do want to see it over these levels here to try to get out of this level. And again, you got the cloud resistance above. So I think a closing the cloud over this guy, getting into that gap, could give a move up. We were talking about it back here. It hasn't quite done it yet. But again, a push up there could be very interesting. And then Walmart, yep, another brick and mortar right there. Finally getting a little bit of strength as it broke down out of a macro trend line here. So you can see the 50 moving average is starting to curl down, right? It started to curl down back here. We saw a move down. Bounced off the 200-day moving average. 200 is still kind of working its way up here. So let's see if it can get above this and continue to stay above those moving averages, get above the cloud, and try to work its way back up to those highs again. Levi, yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for tuning in, man. Matt, what's happening? Uber. Let's take a look. Thanks for tuning in. Uber. Almost a bearish engulfing candle. Didn't quite engulf the entire one, but the real body is engulfing the other one. Not a pretty candle today, but it does have earnings coming up tomorrow after the market, so it could give some Friday Lotto fun. It's going to be very, very interesting to see if they can beat on earnings and continue this move up. It's had a pretty decent move. This is a trade of the week idea we had not too long ago. Nice bullish candle here that got some great follow through. Good stuff. Have a great night, Levi. Thanks again, man. Sumit Gold, yeah, let's take a look. Oh, we got some good stuff here. Some gold and oil, all the good stuff. Right, so gold had a nice bounce yesterday off of the 50 MA. Right, just couldn't get any follow through today with with today's bullish market. It tried to get over yesterday's highs and it came right back in the range. So kind of blah for gold right now as the market continues to work its way up. And then USO. There's your moving average, still below it. Again, spinning top today. Good volume has been coming in on this one, so let's see if we can get over this moving average, give us a bullish close over it, and try to work its way up again. You can see here we did have a gold cross here on the 50 and the 200 MAs, and we got a little bit of a push to its recent highs, and then it was like, nope. And that's why the moving averages are not the end-all be-all, right? That's why you really got to go to the source, which is your price itself, and see what kind of setups you're getting, right? This candle right here is definitely a big shot across the bow, right? And then we got that inside day below it, right? Kind of now it's below the 50 moving average, and then you have this below the 200. Then see ya. Good night, USO, right? But oil sector in general, yeah, I mean we started to see some flow into XOM, and we'll see how it holds at. It might just be a corrective bounce. Oil is up a little bit after hours. So, but yeah, generally that's kind of the thoughts on it. But definitely get your trend lines on it. Like, I mean, here's your CL right here. Right, so we had this big. Here's your upper shadow here. We broke down below here on the oil futures. Right, we had a pretty strong day on oil today, so we had a little bit of close here. Let's see how we can close above that here with some good volume. Then oil may be working on a little bit of a reversal. We have to see. Just see what the price says. Good stuff. Enlighten me. Thanks for tuning in. AVGO. Yep, a little Broadcom action after QCOM today. So look at that, doji. It's like the doji lily pads just continue to jump on doji stairs. Right over the 50 moving average today, so interesting. Let's see how it's behaving, if it's doing anything after hours. No, just kind of chopping around a little bit, just choppy doji day today. Again, I'd like to see it close above today's highs bullishly. Then you got these levels up here that needs to get above. And then might make another shot at those recent highs. And then Baba. But with a bearish engulfing day today, it did give you a lower shadow at some prior levels right here. So, in general, bearish engulfing day, a little bit of a shot across the bow, definite potential change in composure on it. So we definitely want to see how it holds these levels right here. It's tough. Bob was always tough because of how things could change overnight with as an ADR. But generally, the bearish engulfing candle is a little bit something to be concerned about. But we do have a lower shadow to it, some prior support levels. And then CMG. Oh goodness, guys, you're about to see the ultimate bearish engulfing candle. So I mean, this thing bearish engulfed like an entire range right here, and so let's see how the activity followed through right here. We are seeing the 50 moving up. I believe that earnings were actually okay. I think there's something good about the report. It gave it a little bit of a gap up, but definitely not good enough to hold today. So it tried, but it just couldn't do it. So let's see what it does. Let's see if it holds these levels, and if not, right, we can start to test a little bit lower, come down to 50 moving average, and possibly test the cloud below. Good stuff, Dimitri. Thanks for tuning in. Mike, what's happening? WMB. See how that's doing? So WMB. Let's see, you got a little bit of a downtrend right here. Started to break out here, gapped above it. Again, some key levels. Let's see if we can close bullishly over any of these. Got an open gap right there. We can close bullishly above these guys, right? We may see a gap fill, then above there. Might try to work its way back up to the cloud. So it's trying to break out of this recent downtrend. It's trying. And then AAL. Yeah, a little bit of a hammer day. The airlines are just, a lot of these travel type companies are getting hit a lot because of the coronavirus shutting down, routes to China, things like that. We're seeing some interesting stuff here. Lots of key levels. It did close above this guy today, but this was the real breakout candle right here after that downward trend line. So we want to see it get over all this stuff. But a decent day today. Decent day. Good. Yeah, my pleasure. Hey guys, what's up? Mike. Oh, yep. USO in oil in general. Yep. We just did that. We just the exact same question we just did. So yeah, below the downward trend line here, but the oil futures are looking interesting. Like they might be wanting to try to get out of this trend line. Again, we have to see if we get confirmation over these. Let's see how we close today, basically, or tomorrow. Good. Do 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 do. Great to see the regulars. That's right, Mason. What's going on? I know, yeah, Disney and Piton. It is shocking, right? So, but Disney, it's just kind of did some stuff today, right? It had a decent earnings report. Disney Plus exceeded their expectations, and then they started talking about shutting down, the Disney Shanghai, and less people going to movies and all that stuff. So they did start talking about it. Gave it a little bit of a push down today. Nasty candle, but it did bounce right off of the 200 moving average today after filling some gaps. So maybe it finished its job today. It's back in the cloud. It looks like it's got some work to do to try to work its way up. It wasn't one of those explosive moves like this or anything like that. So it's a little bit disappointing there, and it's still below the downward trend line here. So it did tag that downward trend line, reverse off it. Very similar to what we talked about on Roku today. It didn't help that the market was pretty rough. It doesn't seem that way because SPX was up all day, but a lot of these individual stocks were getting pushed down all day. And then Piton, yeah. Piton, I'm a little surprised about it. I think they had a little bit of a beat on earnings, but they're down here after hours. I think, they had less of a loss than was expected. It gave an initial push up, and then I guess some of their guidance was a little bit down. So welcome to the stock market, new IPO. That is your first earnings and are losing money. So good job there. But they're losing less money. So hey, Tesla is losing money for a while too, and then it gave a parabolic move. So maybe Piton could do that too one of these days. So, but just so we could look here, we can see that it's gapping down to about 29.70. So 29.70 just puts it right here. So we may see a reversal back up on Piton tomorrow. So it's definitely one to keep on the radar. Because right now it's not gapping below anything major. So Wendy, yeah, let's take a look at Zoom. Zoom. Okay, so inside day today. So you asked yesterday, is it kind of pausing here? Maybe, right? So it's still holding these levels. It's up a point from yesterday. So I like that it's over the that prior resistance level right here. So again, it may just be kind of hanging out here for a little bit. Let's see if it can get some strength and give us maybe an intraday setup. Maybe something, three white soldiers, something like that, or maybe it can get some strength and get out of that inside day high. So definitely want to keep an eye on there as well. Yep, JP Morgan, y'all mentioned that some money flowing into the financial state. JP Morgan had a decent day. Not amazing, but it had good volume. It closed above the cloud. It's just got a lot of levels to deal with right here. So a lot of mess. A lot of mess until we can get back to those highs again. RH, thank you for bringing that up. Always one to keep an eye on as well, right? Eventually this thing's probably going to do what Warren Buffett wants to do. The guy is as patient as anything, and he knows how to read fundamentals. So we're looking for a chart that helps, though. So I'd like to see it close above these guys, right? And then maybe it could give us a move up there. And then CRWD. Yep, CRWD, bearish engulfing day today. Real body engulfs the real body, and the entire candle engulfs the prior real candle. It did give you a nice lower shadow, though, right? And kind of came back into that range. So this prior resistance level right here. So let's see if it holds. It looks like it's still chopping. Again, let's see if it can close above today's high, and then with some volume, and maybe it can start to work its way up. So good stuff. Tracy, what's going on? Good evening. Thanks for tuning in. LK, let's take a look. So Luckin Coffee. Look at that. A lot of these today gapped up to the downward trend line. So we talked about this last night, remember? We simplified it. It was like really lines everywhere and all that stuff. Here's the trend line. We got to get above it, right? We gapped up to it, and then it reversed, and it came right to the 50-day moving average. So we're getting really, really close to maybe doing something here, right? So let's see if we can get above it. Let's see if we can close above it with some good volume, and then maybe we can confirm a change in trend. And then Pacey, I believe they had earnings tonight. Let's see. So bearish engulfing day, earnings after hours today, and down. So wow, we saw a lot of bearish engulfing candles and a lot of follow through to the downside on earnings. So right now it is at 300 after hours on the bid. So right now it's kind of in this area right here. It's basically at the prior gap when it joined the S&P 500, somewhere around there. And so actually, I don't remember the exact date it did that, but it did have that nice gap up, which I imagine is kind of in this area. And let's see if it holds that gap at this point. So if it does hold this, we may see a reversal on it tomorrow. Then SQ. Another bearish engulfing candle on SQ is a great run, incredible run, really. Remember the guitar strings right here? Got a couple breakout candles, a little bit of a pennant, bull flag right here, and then boom, got to the upside, filled its gap, did its job, came into a lot of resistance upper shadows right here, and then decided, nope, I'm done. Bearish engulfing candle. So let's see if that gets followed through to the downside tomorrow. So yeah, pretty weak candle on that. Lots of bearish engulfing candles. Good gravy. So good. Yeah, my pleasure. Enlighten me. Yeah. Doji lily pads, exactly. Tune fed. Hey, what's going on? Yeah, doing great. Yeah, let's take a look at TOL. TOL. Wow, nice candle there. Good closer at all these levels. Good volume. Very bullish. Let's see if it gets follow through tomorrow. I like it. Let's add it to the bullish radar. Thank you for tuning in and giving us a great bullish stock. We do appreciate that. Great stuff. I hope you're doing good. Really, really good. And then HD, another part of the home building sector. Home Depot. M Hawk, what's going on? Hope you're doing great, man. Yeah, so nice close on HD today. This is going to be on our radar for tomorrow. It did fill its gaps today, but looks like it might want some more. It came up with some good volume here. It closed over the levels. I think this one could be ready to try to test those recent highs. So great stuff. Awesome. Well, great charts tonight, everybody. Really appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. Good continued discussion on changes of composure. It's always fun looking at different concepts like moving averages, things like that. And we do this every market night. So if you're new here, definitely click subscribe on YouTube and hit the like button. We always appreciate it. And check out the links in the description. And really appreciate everybody's support. I hope everybody has a good rest of your evening and has a good night's sleep and has a great trading day tomorrow. And we'll catch you guys tomorrow for the conclusion to the series. And really appreciate it. So everybody have a great night, and thank you again. And remember your risk first and stay safe so you stay in the game. And I'll talk to you guys soon.